Broadcasting live on the UnitedWest.org AM radio network, simulcasting on DirecTV, iHeartRadio, Roku, and the World Wide Web. This is Enemies of the State with Tom Trento.
So that's going to be what it looks like here on the 8th of July, Wednesday, 2015. Hi, everybody. Tom Trento here. The United West is the name of the organization. And the name of the show is what? Anybody out there?
Yeah, Enemies of the State.
Enemies
right
of the
here.
State.
Right. There it is, right there. You're looking at the monitor and looking.
I see S the Sate. S the Sate.
Oh, geez.
If I move my head, it's State. S the State.
I'll zoom it out for you. There
Whoa.
You go. There
Who's
you go.
this guy?
Now I know the name.
We have an intruder in
Yeah,
here.
who is it? Who is it?
Somebody snuck in for our radio audience. Is he live or is he Memorex there?
He's live.
He's live. He's right there.
Barely.
It's Wednesday, so it must be Billy Vaughn here, I
Billy
guess. What's
Vaughn
going
Day.
on, man?
Yeah, it is.
Nice to
How
see
you
you.
doing,
Oh,
sir?
your hands are sweaty.
Yeah.
You make him nervous.
Yeah, man. What a show we have today. That's not a statement, that's a question. What kind of show do we
have today?
Does anybody know what we're doing today?
No.
Okay. Normally it's Extortion 17, but we're not going to do that. We got bigger plans.
There are no bigger plans than Extortion 17
No,
plans.
bigger
right?
plans than just doing our weekly investigation. Yeah. We're going to do a bigger investigation of Extortion 17, and that's to be announced later on in the scheme of things.
Yes.
But today we have Billy here, and we decided, because it looks pretty good that we're on our final days of our show. Unless there's a miracle somehow, somewhere, final days of our show. So we're doing some unique stuff. We wanted to bring Billy in and with the guys in the control booth and myself, just kind of have discussions on a couple of the pertinent and important issues facing all of us. So we don't have a real schedule for today, the 8th of July, 2015, WSBR Radio. We are in WSBR Radio.
Yes, we are.
Out of Boca Raton, and redstatetalkradio.com. Probably our radio life is coming to an end, but our life on the internet will not come to an end. We'll be continuing that. Ran into a couple of problems, one of which is called money. That's one of the problems we ran into, lack of money. And a couple of the reasons, normally when you buy radio time like we do, you turn around and you do what's called sell commercials to people who want to advertise on your show. But we got a little problem with that, don't we, gentlemen in the control booth?
Yeah, because we really don't want people who we like to have their establishments firebombed or boycotted.
Yeah. We are a registered hate group. We've registered with the federal government as a hate
Tom,
group.
we've registered with the Southern Poverty Law Center.
So that's part of the federal government's arm, training federal agents now. So people are hesitant to identify with our clear, crisp, concise statements on facts. And so they don't want to advertise with us. So we don't have any advertising revenue. And of the 14, Billy, there's 14 Republicans running for president. 5 of them live in Florida. We have Mike Huckabee up in the Panhandle. Ben Carson, I think he's in Palm Beach.
Palm Beach Gardens.
Palm Beach Gardens. Ben Carson. We have Jeb down in Miami. We have Marco down in Miami area. And we got Trump. Trump lives in Florida, basically. And I get emails every day
And the rest of them want to be here.
They all want to be here. And it's a key state. And we're a victim almost of our own success because we're doing a countdown, 488 days until the election. We started on the day after the election in 2014, counting down, saying it's so critical. And it is. Right. I get emails every day from people raising funds for all 14, and they're just sucking the donation money out of Florida. So we get to the back of the line. And we got to cut some things out. We're going to be reorganizing, and we're fine. I mean, we'll still hurt the bad guys in a little different way. So what we want to do today, we want to see a little bit about you and your life and what's going on with Operation 300. We had a great event last week. Want the folks to know about that, raise money for that. That's easier to give to than us. We understand that. That's good. And there's a little survey that is generating a lot of controversy. Am I on this camera by any chance over here?
You want me to go there? Okay, hold on a second. I'm trying to adjust Billy's color over here. So I got a little too much bright.
Tom Trento and you got a clock back. Everything works.
Everything's
as we're
working
winding
just
down.
before we have to go.
This is amazing. At 2:50 in the afternoon, wrong clock. At 4:10 in the afternoon on
Which
the 8th,
camera are you going to look at? Because you're
I'm going to look at
confusing-
that camera.
Okay.
But I do need a monitor under here. Somebody get me a monitor, please, under this camera.
Yeah, we'll get that right at the budget, right?
Because I have to do this. Watch, I have to look from that camera to there, and it looks so amateurish.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
But if there
we
was a
need like
monitor
15
right
more monitors for you to gradually
Who's
look.
calling me from Quebec? Or is
Quebec.
it Quebec?
It's probably you.
Jean Carré?
Sean Carey. That whole thing's a joke. We'll talk about that. But thanks for joining us, folks. And ironically, creatively, our show has grown phenomenally well. We
Yes,
do
it has.
edutainment quite well. Very few people have the serious subject matter experts that we do and allow the time to dig into the subject matter that isn't boring. Usually you got these top flight experts and they got 4 minutes on Fox, then it's over. And that's okay. Or they're on some PBS thing and everybody's going. We happen to make these interviews somewhat interesting, like we
Right.
always do. So creatively, the show was growing, and by numbers, the show was growing. Just wasn't generating the revenue necessary to keep it on the air. Pretty simple. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to look at a survey that Frank Gaffney at Center for Security Policy commissioned through Women Trends polling, and it shocked us. We've looked at it a couple times. Billy, we're going to have you take a look at it. And then some Muslim apologists just produced a article in Huffington Post, castigating Gaffney and condemning and criticizing the way in which the poll was.
Attack the messenger.
Yeah. And what's interesting, we're going to show you in Huffington Post something that's obviously not supportive of what we do, but what the comments are in Huffington Post regarding the attack against the survey that shows unbelievable amount of Muslims want Sharia and will get it by violence here in the United States.
Of course we will.
What the Huffington Post commenters, readers actually say. We're going to look into that. But Billy, Vaughn, tell us a little bit about who you are and what your reason for existing is. A little philosophical stuff to start off with.
I can't believe he's doing this. I didn't want to talk about Operation 300 today and maybe raising money for Operation 300. I want to talk about Tom Trento because we really hate to see Tom struggling and the show suffering and going off the air because this is needed by the American citizenry to be informed. As far as Operation 300 goes, yeah, we do have a 501c3 organization called Operation 300 in honor of SOC Aaron Vaughn, who was
SOC.
Special Operations Chief, SEAL Team 6, our son, Karen and I's son, who was killed in Afghanistan August 6, 2011. And after that, we set up an organization. My oldest daughter, Tara, we have two daughters, Tara and Anna. My oldest daughter, Tara, spearheaded the organization. We bring in little boys and little girls who've lost their dads in service to our nation and our nation's military.
Do they have to be special operators? Or?
They don't. We've had kids from all the branches, including the Coast Guard. We have kids from up in Alabama, the Taylor boys, who've come in. Their dad was a Coast Guard helicopter instructor, killed in a crash there in Mobile Bay, and so no, they don't, and they don't have to be KIA. Because as the organization evolved, we learned that kids, it's the same for the kids. You know, we've had kids come who their dad has served multiple deployments and then came back home and got killed in a motorcycle crash. So I mean, why would those kids not qualify to come to our camp? You know, their dads have served their country, just
they
like
don't have a dad.
Yeah, exactly. And we bring in the moms. We put them up on the beach for a weekend of relaxation, you know, away from the kids and everything. And the kids do things that they would have done with their dads. That it's hard for the moms to do with them. Shooting, archery, sailing, fishing, horse riding, those kind of things. And they actually have a male mentor who is with them for the entire weekend, who builds a relationship with them, and who, after the camp is over, stays in contact with that kid from that family. And we actually have some very touching stories, about actually some of the mentors going and visiting the kids or showing up and surprising them, but staying in contact is the main thing. And the camp is growing. I was just on the phone with my daughter before I showed up for the show, and she's, we got a camp coming up in the end of July, 30th, 31st, and August 1st, and we'll have 4 camps this year, and she's telling me how many kids we've already got scheduled for the November camp, and how, Dad, we're going to have to figure out how to schedule at least, we have 4 camps a year right now, and next year we're going to, with the way that we're getting more kids wanting to come, have to have at least 5 to 6 camps next year, and we have to start scheduling those camps now to get the dates down, So we're experiencing growing pains. The community, Florida, even other areas have been very, very supportive of Operation 300 and our family through this whole ordeal. And United West has been very supportive, and a lot of friends around here. We did have our annual Aaron Vaughn Frogman Swim a couple weekends ago, and the dinner event, and it was just really amazing how many people came out for the dinner, and the way they spent money for the auction, and then the next day at the swim. So it's growing, but we do have many needs as we continue to grow. It's just one of those things. We're glad it's growing, and
it's a mixed blessing that a camp dedicated to taking care of kids who lost their fathers in combat is growing.
Yeah.
Because more people are dying. And the way we're fighting this war, with these guys not allowed to fight the way they're trained to, more are going to die.
Yep.
Until we get this president out of there, 488 days. So what we want you to do, everybody, at 18 minutes after, go to operation300.org?
.com.
Operation, then the number 300, and that's, why 300? Why not 600, 900, 500? What's 300?
Well, the 300 is from the 300 Spartans.
Hold up your arm, Billy.
King Leonidas, the 300 Spartans. That was Aaron's favorite story, his favorite movie, his favorite book, Gates of Fire. And the 300 Spartans, King Leonidas yelled out Molon Leve when the Persian king Xerxes with 600,000 Persians attacking 300 Spartans and said, "Lay down your." King Xerxes said, "Lay down your weapons and live." And King Leonidas yelled back, "Come and get him," or Molon Leve. Molon Leve in Greek.
Why do you have a tattoo on your
Aaron had that tattoo on his arm when he was alive, and after he died, I had that put on my arm. First tattoo I've ever had in my life, and probably the last. But
some people hold a gun like that.
Aaron, when that was it. When Aaron held his gun, the jihadists could see right there. He also had a cap on too. Some of the times when he fought, that said, "Allah can't help you now." And we need to push those things and things like that in those jihadists' face and make them freak as much as we can, and wail and moan like Aaron said they did when they were captured. Just like it talks about men wailing in the Bible. He said, "Dad, you've never heard anything about the way they cry when we capture them."
Really?
Operation 300, as Tom said, is always a mixed blessing, because every kid that comes, every mom that shows up, has experienced a loss that in their family that most of us can never imagine.
And we want you to go to operation300.com. Check it out. It's growing. It's here in Florida. You need property too, I think. You're expanding from where you are.
Yeah.
So what would be the ideal? If somebody's listening and says, I got a bunch of property, what are you looking for? Give us the wish list.
The ideal would be 20 to 30 acres in Martin County or North Palm Beach County. I know that's pretty specific, but everything that we've done, everything, the way that we've organized, all of our volunteers who help us are in the Martin County area. All the events we do, we need to be close to PBI, and everything we do is right there off the coast, or in the coastal area there. So we can't we can't go too far inland because it really messes up the schedule for moving the kids back and forth.
And a lot of the businesses that donate services and goods are located there, and you're not necessarily going to be able to go 100 miles away where you don't have those relationships. And a lot of the local businesses give a lot to your organization. So that's why it's important that it be here, folks.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Damon, because it is where we've started and where people are in that network, and so we pretty well have to stay close to where
I was very impressed this past a couple of weeks ago, 26th I think it was, the dinner and the event with the Martin County Sheriff's Department and the fire department, just all in, man, all in, giving away trips to the go with the sheriff in cars and look at the helicopter and shoot guns and ride on the fire trucks and all this stuff. I mean, these guys were there, and you can see some of them were vets.
I wanted that gun, though.
Yeah. The thing of it is people need to know how humbling this is for our family, the way people have climbed on board and jumped on board and have just supported us and helped us, and the support is coming from everywhere. We even had people show up for the dinner from Jacksonville who drove down and drove back home.
I met someone that was in from out of state at the event.
Okay, so I mean, the word's spreading, and
he had a pretty good guest speaker.
We did actually. Gary Bernstein, great American Crusader. A great warrior.
Crusader, there he is. Yeah, he was a speaker. No, it was great. We want you to go there, take a look at it, support it. It's an ongoing deal. And, again, we're going off the radio. We're not going off the internet. We need to push out some sort of short documentary stories about some of these kids. That's the stuff that people really relate to.
Right.
So if you guys can shoot something like that, that'd be good. All right. Anything else on Operation 300?
No, it's just something that everyone.
Thank you for giving me the airtime.
Listen,
go ahead.
Everyone and anyone that gives money to charities for children, if you love the military, if you love children that lost their fathers, this charity wastes absolutely no money. All of your staff are volunteers. All these current and former military and law enforcement guys are giving their time away. And a lot of businesses give their products and give use of their rentals for boats and archery equipment, stuff like that. There is no wasted money, and it is tax deductible. So if anyone has it in their heart to help out the children and the families of fallen heroes, give to Operation 300.
And I want to make one other quick point. This is a nonpartisan type of camp. This is not there's nothing to do with that. There's
no political.
There's no political. This is whether the person's
things happen once you're there.
No, that's an excellent point, Mark. Because the men and the women who die serving this country, they wear an American flag, not an R or not a Democrat on their shoulder. They're wearing an American flag, and this is an American cause, so
there's 2 points I want to make. One is you have the dinner on a Friday, then the swim on a Saturday. Former lifeguard on the ocean. I'm interested next year.
Are you?
In doing the swim.
Are you? Oh, you're.
Do you have a 50-yard swim?
He does actually. This year they did. They had like a 200-yard or something.
No, 200-yard.
200.
We have a tadpole swim.
There you go.
200-yard.
Could I be an honorary tadpole?
Now you've got me. Now you've got me interested in the tadpole swim.
We're in. If you're in, I'm in, Mark.
I'm in for at least a tadpole swim.
Before I put my Speedo on, I've got to cut back on the Dunkin' Donuts a little bit. And the second thing, and then we'll move on, is you had a unique, what's that stuff called? Mark, you bought a bottle. Not bourbon, what was it? Rum.
Oh,
rum.
The Black Coral rum.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Oh, that was really good.
You had a unique liquor company that's making this unique local rum,
yes,
and they're donating a certain amount of dollars for each one. I saw you walk away with a bottle, Mark.
Yeah, I bought one.
Damon, did you get a taste of that bottle?
I
did
one.
not.
It's sitting on my counter.
I
bought
have some
one
at the
from
house.
No,
It's
Mark's
very,
bottle. Did you taste
it? It's a very good rum, and they're local. They're local right there in Jupiter, and
was
they
the name
do.
of it again?
They're a growing company, and
the name of it?
Black Coral Black
what?
Coral.
Black
I
Coral.
can't
That's
help-
it. That's it.
It sounds like
Yeah.
whore. Black
Well,
whore.
actually,
Black Coral
Okay,
rum.
Black Coral.
And they're out of Jupiter, and they donate 10% of all their profits to Operation 300.
Well, I got to tell you a little bit about this. I talked to the owner of the company
Good.
ad nauseum. Okay, and he's like, here's a
you
bottle.
made him
Shut up.
nauseous?
Get away from me. And,
After an hour and a half. You know.
I said, well, here's $20, right? He goes, okay, thanks. Put it in a jar, right? Okay, all right. So I talked to him about the rum, and it's actually made from pure. They put a little spice in it, and everything they put in there is natural, and it's not remanufactured. Nothing. It's unlike anything. It's really, and I'm very picky about my my rum, and this is excellent.
What's
This
rum
is
made out of? What is rum made
molasses. This one has, I think, has a little vanilla bean in it, but it is excellent. Oh my God! I just like, oh, yeah. I
Bring the bottle in and we'll share
right.
it.
See, Tom, this is kind of like what doing commercials is like, only you're supposed to get paid.
Poor
But
guy's
it's very
company's-
similar.
Poor guy's got all broken bottles at his company.
One other thing about that y'all need to know about Operation 300, because Tom's talking about the event. We're actually beginning to do something. This is new for us that we've never done before. I met with somebody this past week. Karen and I did. There's going to be an event probably coming up in November, a fundraising event in Palm Beach County for Operation 300. Meeting with someone on next Tuesday, Lord willing. There'll be another fundraising event coming up probably in Broward County or Palm Beach County, and we don't have a date for that yet. There's going to be a big fundraising event already scheduled for March 17th or 19th over in Naples, fundraising event for Operation 300. And I'll just say to you people out there, if y'all would like to hold a fundraising event in your area for Operation 300, and maybe it's even your organization, a 912 group or a Tea Party or something like that, contact Tom or contact us, and we'd be glad to try to set something up, where it helps all parties involved.
Oh, no, that's cool. Give them your contact information.
well, I got a question.
Wait, how do they get in touch with you?
Operation 300.
Just go there? Okay.
Yeah, go to operation300.com. And actually, if you go on that website, you can contact me directly on that website, and I am kind of the guy in charge of that. So you can do that if you're interested, or if you want to find out when these other events. We're going to be scheduling more and more because it's taking more and more funds, obviously, for us to continue to operate like we want to.
Well, I got a question. Quick question. This guy right here, how come he hasn't stepped up to the plate in the Operation 300, or has he? I don't know.
No, he hasn't. I mean,
He hasn't?
No, I don't know if he knows.
And the guy for our radio audience was Donald Trump. at
And he's a
28
local
minutes.
right here. He needs to step up.
28 minutes after
Yeah.
the hour, Tom Trento, your host, Enemies of the State, our special guest in the studio, Billy Vaughn.
Uncover your hand off your mic there, Tom, please.
Billy Vaughn, there you go. Holding myself up. I'm fighting a cold or something, and but I'll win the fight.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I got a little quiz for you guys. You ready for a little quiz?
Yep.
All right. You ready for a little quiz here at 28 after WSBR Radio? WSBR. I got a quiz for you people out there in the audience too, as you're watching. RedStateTalkRadio.com as you're listening. TheUnitedWest.org. TeaPartyCommunity.com. Again, we're phasing out of our radio world in South Florida, but we are reorganizing, and we will have a video presence on the internet. Pretty simple. Here's the quiz for you guys.
Okay.
I want to ask you what you think the most and the least patriotic states are in the United States of America.
Most patriotic and
The
least.
most patriotic and the least patriotic.
Can I take
And
the
here's
least?
the criterion. Well, all right, let's
Well, give
everybody
the
take
criteria-
a guess.
Give a criteria.
And then I'll
first.
give you the criteria.
Well, how's it determined? Yeah.
No. Just take a gut feel guess, then I'll tell you the criterion used objectively in this study.
Okay.
So we'll start with you, Mark.
The least. I would have
The
to
least patriotic.
I'd have to go California. But then that's kind of a tough one because there's a lot of good people in California.
Okay, the most.
Have to go with probably Alabama, Texas, or something like
You
that.
get one state. You can't guess 5 states.
All right.
Can't take a region.
Take a region. South. I'd take the South. That's
Yeah.
it.
No
Texas.
cheating,
Texas.
Googling things.
Texas.
Texas, okay. Damon,
Yes.
least.
Least patriotic. I will go with Hawaii.
Wow.
Ooh, flyer. He's going off a flyer.
Most patriotic.
Okay.
I will go with South Carolina.
Okay.
Billy,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Massachusetts,
Least.
That was one I was thinking of.
most.
Oklahoma.
Ooh.
I was thinking of your
Okay.
home state, Billy, but possibly.
Now, what's the criteria?
The criterion is criterion for indicating the level of patriotism within a state population consisted of, and this was ranked in 2012 census, U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, Google Trends, Facebook, and Wikipedia. Criteria used, and what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening,
course
enemies
you
of the
didn't send
state,
us that link.
we're taking a look. I'm polling these guys on the least patriotic state in the union and the most patriotic. Criterion is the number of historical national landmarks per capita. So however many people compared to how many historic landmarks you have. The veterans per capita, number of veterans in that state.
No.
Money spent to fund the veterans.
Well, I'm going to lose on the least patriotic. Hawaii gets a ton of money. This is stupid
percentage
criteria.
of residents that voted in the last presidential election.
Okay.
The people who Google for American flags to buy.
Oh, okay.
Google can figure out if you're trying to buy an
Yeah, well,
American
they can
flag.
figure out all kinds of stuff. It's scary.
People who list America as an interest on Facebook.
stuff. Okay.
And the people who voted for Obama. That was nice.
No,
That was nice.
that would definitely be a criteria.
Now, having revised that, Mark, you said the least patriotic was
I'm going
California,
to
and the
go
most
Alabama,
was Texas.
Alabama, because they got monuments all over the place.
So you want to go with Alabama
Yeah, I'm
as the
gonna-
most.
yeah.
You sticking with California?
Oh God, that's a tough one. California's got a lot of monuments. I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'll stick with California.
Okay. Damon, you had Hawaii and South Carolina.
No, that totally changed. That criteria totally changes it. There's so much military in Hawaii that would definitely not be my choice if
Okay.
I knew that was the criteria.
All right. Who's your least?
It would have to be a state. I would say like Utah, because I can't think of a lot of national monuments in Utah.
Okay. And South Carolina, you keeping that one as the most
They
patriotic?
got a lot of
I'll
monuments,
keep
but
South
some of them may be,
Carolina because I'm feeling
Confederate
good about the
monuments.
people. And now when you say American flag, did that include the rebel flag as well or not?
I think this was done before that nonsense.
yeah.
Billy, you have Massachusetts as the least one,
I'll keep Massachusetts.
and Oklahoma as the most.
I'm going to go with Florida.
Florida.
Ooh.
As the most?
All right, drum roll,
That's
ladies
the
and
most,
gentlemen.
because this really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Knowing the criteria, I like that choice.
All right, drum roll. Let's go with Billy's least, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is number 50 is the least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Massachusetts is number 27.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh, because they got
27.
lots of monuments.
They got the Revolutionary War. You know, you blew that one.
Yeah. Mm.
Damon's Utah, number 40.
Not bad.
All right,
Getting
pretty
up
good. I
there.
bet Alaska
Damon,
was
Damon's
below
got
that.
got the lead here.
Mark's California. You want to stick with that or change it?
Nah, go ahead. I'll take the loose. This is gonna be hot.
I don't like that because they have a lot of military too.
Yeah, I know.
California, the least patriotic state in the union.
Woohoo!
No,
California.
it's not.
Mark wins.
My win. Ding, ding, ding.
Get outta
What about the
here.
most?
The least patriotic state, according to that criteria, in the union is California.
What's the date on your poll?
That, not only that, that's according to most people, probably.
What's the date on your poll?
July 2nd, 2014.
I have one June 29th, 2015 in front of me.
Oh, so you're cheating.
Right. I didn't cheat.
did- he did
I
not.
gave you my answers, and then I waited till afterwards
did-
to pull it up.
I can
Otherwise, I would
verify
have
he
given
did
you
not
the
cheat.
right
Your,
answer.
on
I
your
can verify-
Sunday night
I
show,
can verify he did
on
not
your
cheat.
Sunday night show,
Yes.
with your 3 listeners, you can have your own poll. Okay, the 3 of you, the 4 of you can discuss this. This is my show, my poll, according to this thing.
Damon's poll has this.
He's
he has
cheating.
he has New York as the least one. and he's got.
And your state is the
47,
second. So where I'm from is the least patriotic. Where you're from is the second.
All right, now going to the most patriotic according to this cool poll here, Movato, all that stuff. It's a pretty sophisticated poll, actually. The most patriotic. Mark, you had Alabama. Let's check out where Alabama is.
I'm pretty confident on that one.
Number 9. Alabama's
Really?
number
That's
9.
That's not bad.
It's a top
pretty
tenner.
good, Mark.
It's a top tenner.
Damon, you had South
Hold
Carolina.
on. Damon's poll has
Not yet. Go back. We didn't get there yet.
Okay.
Damon, you had South Carolina.
I said
on
South Carolina.
My poll. Number 1, South Carolina.
Get out of here.
Number 1.
That's okay. I like that choice, but on my poll I'm bringing up, it doesn't even make the top 10.
Yeah.
And Billy, you have
Oh,
Florida.
I'm sorry. There it is, number 9. I apologize.
Florida is number 6.
All
on
right.
the real poll, not the make-believe Damon poll. On the real poll, Florida is number 6.
And we know that ain't so, don't we?
The
No,
10
no.
most
Half the state doesn't speak English. How patriotic can you be?
The 10
I'm
most
so patriotic, I don't speak the language.
I like some country.
The 10 most patriotic, starting from number 10, Arizona, Alabama, Alaska, Georgia, Florida, Virginia, Wyoming, North Carolina, Maine, and
Really?
South Carolina number 1.
Actually,
Maine is
Maine-
number 2.
Maine, not
yeah.
true, because half of Maine considers
No.
themselves Canadian.
No, listen. All they got to do is have 5 monuments in the whole state to have the highest percentage of monuments.
Well, let me tell you how.
They're counting the bear in the population up there.
Watch how they did this. South Carolina has the most people Googled searching American flags and the 7th most veterans per capita. So that kind of put them over. Maine,
They're having to replace those rebel flags.
Yeah,
That's what they're
that
doing.
replaces the
They're
rebel
looking for
flags.
Confederate flags. They're going to those American flag sites and showing up, and they're ordering a Confederate flag.
That's right.
Maine, 1 in 10 residents in Maine have served in the military. It's the highest number.
Oh, really?
That's only 100 people, though.
That's 10 people. North Carolina, 1 in 10 residents have served in the military, 6th highest in veteran funding. Wyoming, North Carolina, Wyoming, 25% of the states likes America on 25% of the state of
What?
Wyoming likes America on Facebook.
And that's patriotic?
Hey, why was California? Why did it get whacked? I mean, because they have a lot of military and they have a lot of money.
Yeah, but they have a third of the state would like to secede to Mexico.
Yeah, they don't have the on this little summer.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't-
but just because they have a base doesn't mean they have national monuments out
Yeah.
there anymore. you know.
Okay, you got a point there.
This is
guess.
the dumbest criteria I've ever heard of.
Well, it's called the smartest
Me
of
and
the
Billy
states
could
in
sit
the
down and come up with better criteria for a poll in 5 minutes.
But that's not too bad. California, I think, would be the least patriotic.
They got to
New
be
York.
worse than anybody.
Yeah, and they are.
Look at Hollywood alone.
Yeah, you
A
got
more
that
American hatred
Listen,
comes out of
I know-
Hollywood than the whole
listen,
rest of the
I know this is a
country.
little bit off subject, but here is a state that has everything that any of the other 50 states have. They have snow, they have mountains, they have beach, they have oil, they have agriculture.
Ain't
they
got
have-
no water.
They got no. You know why they don't have water? I just heard the other day because
Tom Selleck's stealing.
They've not built any more reservoirs since the 1970s. They are losing 75% of their rainwater to the ocean.
Yeah.
And they're sitting there dying. They've got all these resources. They've got everything. All the other countries. They got the beaches like Florida. They got the mountains like the North. They got it all. They got skiing. They got surfing. They've got it all.
They've got murder
they're
and
broke.
illegal immigrants.
And they're broke. And they're a third
Now,
world.
I can underscore what Billy just said by one photograph of the current governor. Can somebody pull up the current governor of this state?
Governor Moonbeam.
And you go, what in the world are these people thinking? 34 million of them.
Well,
I spent a lot of time in that state, and it is a beautiful state.
Yeah, it's
You
beautiful.
go
Every
up
time you
north-
go there, you know, man, this is it, man.
And
you
here's
go
a-
up north, and you get to Berkeley and University of California, Davis. You get to some crazy schools. I ran a congressional campaign, District Number 3, up north, Sacramento area north, and I'll never forget. Our candidate and I was Tim Lefevre. We ran in '92 with Gingrich. I was running his race, and myself and a couple people were the team. And we're in Red something.
I got him.
Red something, California. Here's the governor of one of the greatest states in the should be one of the greatest states in the country. That is, what's his name? Moonbeam.
Jerry.
Jerry Brown.
Jerry Brown. Yeah. Jerry Moonbeam Brown. Moonbeam comes out of when it was the 70s when he was with like the
Jane
Indian.
Fonda?
He was with some Indian chick doing Native American stuff and crazy stuff, and I don't know how he got reelected. That's how stupid the state is.
Well,
But-
did his father almost destroy the state prior to him?
No, it was him.
No, yeah, he's been there like twice.
Yeah.
Oh, this is his second go around?
He didn't get it bad enough the first time, so he came back for another.
Yeah, that wasn't his father. That was him.
Are you kidding me?
He had a hiatus of like 20 years.
I thought that was his father. They let the same moron back in?
Yes, that's how stupid this is.
Oh my God.
But I was I was sitting in Red Oaks or Redwood, California, and the candidate is speaking, about 30 guys, and this is rough rancher territory, right? When you get up north above Sacramento, it is the salt of the earth, serious people. And they got their sidearms, the whole thing, their hats, you know. And about halfway through Tim Lefevre's talk, about 10, 15 guys get up and walk out. And I'm going, what, did he say something crazy? It was 12 o'clock, right? Did he say something crazy? He didn't say anything crazy. They love him. I said, excuse me, what's going on? They said, today's United Nations Day. We're going down to the courthouse and burning the United Nations flag. I said, okay, we'll come, you know. And they went and burned the United Nations flag at the courthouse on United Nations Day.
I think everyone should do that.
Yeah,
I think so. That's a good idea.
That was pretty cool, you know. But the whole state is just going down the tubes, and it has nothing to do with illegal immigration.
But think about California. In the days of Reagan and Nixon, it was a red state.
Yeah.
A red state. And look how they've taken it through immigration. They have taken that state through immigration. They're trying to do the same thing to Texas and some of the others.
Here's a little accent on what Billy said earlier, and I wanted to highlight this water thing, which is huge.
It is huge.
They
yes.
let billions, this is out of Forbes magazine. Why does California let billions of gallons of fresh water flow straight into the ocean?
Because they dummies.
Well, they have the water there, and they just let it flow into the ocean. I mean, they got to protect the snail darters and all this other
Yeah, there was
crap.
those stupid little fish that were keeping the farmers from irrigating their crops a couple years ago.
Yep. And so, but this is rainwater.
Screw
that
the
they have.
people. Save the little stinky fish.
It just comes off the mountains and flows straight into the ocean, and nobody captures it. It's ridiculous. But anyway, that's Governor Moonbeam. Okay.
All right, listen to this. On Tuesday, when Jerry Brown, California's once would-be future leader, declared he was running to win back his old job, this was a couple of years ago. This was in 2010. That's when he got elected. He brought with him more than the question about his age. 71 5 years ago, so he's 76 now, and his record of political service, 40 years and counting. He brought Moonbeam with him, too. For the uninitiated, Governor Moonbeam became Mr. Brown's intractable sobriquet, his name, dating back to the days as governor between 75 and 83. Wow. You weren't
That's
even born,
insane.
Damon. When were you born?
Me?
Yeah.
70.
Oh, you were 5 years old when this guy was the governor of California.
That's the reason you don't remember him. Yeah.
And 83, when the state led the nation in pretty much everything: economy, environmental awareness, and Class A eccentrics. The nickname was coined by Mike Royko, great Chicago columnist, who in 1976
Great.
that Mr. Brown appeared to be attracting the Moonbeam vote, which in Chicago political parlance meant young, idealistic, and non-traditional.
Right.
And that was the whole Moonbeam thing. And then he took over. And if it babbles and its eyeballs are glazed, it probably comes from California. That's a perfect Mike Royko.
Yeah.
You remember Royko, right?
Oh, yeah. Cheeseburger. He always used to hang out at the Billy Goat Tavern on Michigan Avenue.
The state has been destroyed. It's been destroyed with philosophical leaders like that, because then they say everybody's great, and these people who are just pouring over the border need help, and
they
the
need
federal
to
government
vote.
pay for it.
And they need a place.
And they need the
and they
votes,
need a place for protection, like up in San Francisco, and then they can
And
succeed.
L.A.
And
Then they
succeed.
can kill legal citizens. I was only trying to shoot the sea lions. Where's PETA? What if Damon Rosen of the United West was caught shooting sea lions? They would make me out to be Charles freaking Manson. He was
who
always
I think is
shooting at
also
sea
from
lions.
California.
Yeah, that's great.
Oh man. Oh well. All right. 45 minutes after. These are fun kind of shows. Really, just let the world
Shows
burn.
like this, we could actually sell advertising.
Yeah, we
on.
probably could with this.
That's
kind of
when we get into the doctrine of Islam that you have to watch yourself.
And now let's switch to Islam. No.
Okay, here we go, and we have Obama here. He's supporting Islam. He's
Obama.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
What's the news
Islam.
there?
He's supporting. In fact, he's even supporting ISIS. He's going to tell us right
Well,
here.
Mark, one thing at a time. President Obama supporting Islam is not news. What do you have that's newsworthy?
He's supporting ISIS.
ISIS, the Islamic State.
That's
of Iraq.
impossible.
He's building up ISIS.
He's
The United
just
States is
pretending
training.
to fight. There's a difference between pretending to fight them, which
He's
he's
training
been
to fight
doing.
them. He's training to
I
fight
don't
You're
know why
crazy.
somebody didn't ask him when he said that. Are we training them here on our soil? Or,
Well, here,
What do you
hold
guys
on.
In Minneapolis.
Let's play
What
the
are you
clip.
guys talking
Let's
about?
play the clip. Here we go. Here we go. Hold on.
We're rolling the president speaking
So with the
yesterday.
additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Say that again.
He's speeding up training of ISIL forces. He
speeding
uses
up the training.
ISIL.
So with the
ISIL.
additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes
Why are we
in
training
Anbar province.
ISIL forces?
hey,
The Iranians are going to be pissed.
Send that to us.
Send that to Bill.
That needs to be everywhere. Man.
Why is he training ISIL
He's finally
forces?
admitted
He's
it.
finally admitted it.
He's finally admitted. I
That's
think
one of
it
the
was
first
a
truthful
faux
things
pas.
he said
Yeah.
in months and months and months.
I don't think he really meant to say that. He probably meant training those whopping 60 Syrians
Yeah.
that are supposed to fight the 60,000 Islamic State members.
He's obviously reading, though.
Yeah, he's got a teleprompter.
He's reading a
That's-
text
he-
Yeah,
there.
here.
Let me
watch.
see. Play it again.
Because he's not doing the
For our radio
thing.
listening audience, at 47 minutes after, WSBR Radio, we're playing a clip by the president. This was yesterday?
No, Monday.
Monday.
2 days ago.
2 days ago,
Here.
where he makes a statement that the United States is speeding up efforts to train ISIL forces.
Here, let's play
That's
it again.
ISIS for those of you.
Well, I'll explain that in a second.
So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes
reading that as
in
clearly
Anbar
as he
province.
can.
Yeah, I
Of
know.
course they're volunteers from Sunni tribes.
That's ISIL.
That's what they are.
Maybe he's trying to fight that ideology.
You know, this is in the same speech that he said you can't fight an ideology with bullets.
Yeah.
And it's in the same
Freedom.
it's the
Freedom.
same
You gotta feed
speech
that
that,
ideology.
he
Gotta
said
feed
when
them.
countering violent extremism here, you can't target any community or religion, meaning Islam.
Yeah.
Okay, when targeting Islamic jihadis, you can't target the Islamic community? Hey, Billy, how many Islamic jihadis at your church? I'm curious.
Oh, in that book the other day, I learned why he calls it ISIL all the time.
Because he hates Israel.
No. The main reason he hates it, and this is coming from an inside source inside the White House, and they know exactly why he calls it ISIL, because Syria made him mad because they stepped over the red line with the chemical weapons thing.
The pink line.
The pink line, his pink line, and he get all mad, and they made him look bad. So he's refusing to let ISIS be called Islamic State.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
In Syria. What's the I for? But the last part.
Levant.
Well,
No, but-
well, they must have made John McCain mad too, because he calls them ISIL also.
Yeah, well, because
because,
every time someone says ISIS or Islamic State, he immediately corrects them, or someone on his staff immediately corrects them and makes them say ISIL because he's mad at Syria.
Yeah, McCain's mad because he was meeting with the Islamic State and helping them
Helping
2
them
years
out.
ago.
Oh, that's
Well, the real question for our political pundits is whether or not a former president can run for the governor of the state of California once he's finished. That's the real question, because that's what he's going to wind up doing, Obama. Go to California and run for
Yeah, they can.
governor.
It actually,
UN
there's
Secretary General,
There's
man.
actually
And then
there's actually precedent for
Then
that.
secede.
Then secede.
Actually,
to
we had
this
a-
communist
you
utopia,
know,
Marxist utopia.
So many businesses, I years ago had a business in California, and so many businesses have moved out, it isn't funny. It's just a
Yeah, half of them to
horrible
Texas.
government.
No, but it is legal to run for another office because I think is either Jefferson or Jackson. One of did that and ran as U.S. Senator and won, obviously, and served in the Senate after being president.
Interesting, Mark.
All right, well, at 50 minutes after, on today, July 8th, Wednesday, 2015, we're just having a kind of a coffee clutch talk with the guys in here. And we actually had planned, and we will in the future, we have a cigar talk coming up, where once we get our studio sorted out a little bit, where we can vent out some of the smoke.
Yeah, we don't have any radio show to do, so.
Smoking some good cigars, kind of reviewing cigars, but talking about the world's issues and talking about the problems of the day. So we have that planned for the women in the audience. I know they like that stuff. But a couple of things. We have this survey that we want to get to here.
Oh, I got the O'Reilly clip.
We're going to play the O'Reilly clip, and we're going to introduce it. And then I'd like to get to Billy before we conclude the show here, to get a little input on the role of Christians. 480. I got to learn how to do this. Only 1,000 hours of this stuff. 488 days from today to November 8, 2016. And what role, Billy Vaughn, should evangelical Christians play in particularly the swing states? But before we do that, before you answer that question, play the O'Reilly clip on Fox, because that was the catalyst for this.
Just to make sure that we can't upload the show again.
Yeah, I know. Just make sure we get whacked.
Impact segment tonight, new poll about how American Muslims see the jihad. About 600 followers of Allah were asked a series of questions by the Center for Security Policy. First up, I believe that violence against those that insult the Prophet Muhammad or the Quran or Islamic faith is sometimes acceptable. 29% say yes, it's acceptable sometimes.
Very low number.
61% disagree with that. 2, violence against Americans here in the USA can be justified as part of the global jihad. 25% agree.
Very low number.
64% disagree. Muslims in America should have the choice of being governed according to Sharia. 51% agree. 32% disagree. Joining us now from Portland, Oregon, Harris Zafar, spokesman for the Ahmadiyya Muslim community there.
You really want to listen to these
Ahmadis
guys?
mean nothing to the Islamic faith.
Zudi's there.
And he's only less.
The one that is a little disturbing, Doctor, we'll begin with you, is the 25% that say, look, if there's a holy war, violence against Americans legitimate. 25% of the 600, that's 150,
Bill did the
right?
math.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a little off-putting, is it not?
Yeah, it's called 500,000.
Oh, it is, and I'm so glad this study is getting, and I'm glad you're paying attention to this, because Americans need to understand violence is not the problem. That's the tip of the iceberg. And we're learning from this, which is what our organization was founded on back in 2003, that the solution is to separate mosque and state. Sharia is the instrument of the Islamic State. So American Muslim community, as diverse as we are, the adherence, the allegiance to Sharia as a law above states like ours, a secular state that separates church or mosque and state, is very important to understand that that's the tip of the iceberg. And until we empower Muslims that are that other 75%, that 70% that rejects that, we're going to see, where's the continuum going?
But it's not. It's 51% that say Sharia law should be the reigning law. Now, I feel a lot of that's because of some Muslim Americans that weren't born here. They came here from other places where Sharia was in place. How do you see this, Mr. Zavar?
That's not really why.
Well, Bill, the way I see this is this survey really underscores the two major points that the Ahmadi Muslim community has been advocating for decades. Number one, that although the vast majority of Muslims here in America are peaceful, there's a great need for everyone, Muslims, non-Muslims, and extremists like terrorists and neoconservatives, to
This guy's head would be on his shoulders 2 seconds.
What kind of first name is Harris for a real Muslim?
Is the people that are the members, which is
No one recognizes the
Ahmadiyya.
No one.
The Caliph, the Khalifa of Islam, His
a
Holiness,
notch above
Mirza Masroor
Judaism.
Ahmad, who leads the largest organized body of Muslims in the world, has constantly called for exactly what you're saying, that Sharia is not meant to be an instrument of coercion.
Yeah, but if 51%,
that Islam advocates for free speech.
But here's what, look, most people don't understand the Muslim community in America because there's so few Muslims here.
And most people don't understand Islam.
In many parts of the country, there aren't any. But if you have 51% of American Muslims saying, we respect Sharia law more than American law, that sends a message that they're not fully assimilated in America, Mr. Zafar.
Yeah, so there's two things to be said there. One is that those people clearly either don't know the U.S. Constitution or don't know Sharia law. Because if I was polled, I would even say yes too, because the U.S. Constitution is the most Sharia-compliant constitution in the world, because it advocates for the freedoms, the liberties.
Give me a break.
Oh my God!
Honor killings, stoning of women for
adultery.
Go ahead, doctor. What do you say?
But I mean, those apologetics, that denial is the exact problem that this study is
I'm
trying
surprised
to
the
change.
Ahmadiyas are
As
doing
long as
that.
we focus just on the violence,
Come on,
and we say
Zudi.
somehow this apologia,
Jump
of
ship. You know you want to.
This is nonsense. Most of the studies around the world show 90% adherence in states like Egypt and Afghanistan. So therefore, we have to engage the fact that when you have 25% of 3 million, which is hundreds of thousands of Muslims that adhere to this, the Sharia state that pulls and radicalizes Muslims towards ISIS, if we're going to have a strategy that we recommend to our government to counter-radicalize, it has to be not only engaging the violence, but engaging the Shariaization, if you will, of the Islamic State.
All right. That's good. That's enough. Okay.
That's there was 2.3 million Muslims in 2011 when Pew did their poll, but looking at birth rates, all that, it's about 3 million now.
Do you believe that?
You believe that?
that's all?
Yeah, 2.3 million.
There are many more. Many more.
It's not 7 million.
How about the Hydra over the last several years? We are coming here in droves.
It's pretty safe to say 3 million. If we
Which
use
ones are we not counting in that number? Are we counting the refugees that are being settled by the government, the communities that are being settled? Let me tell you, St. Cloud, Minnesota has a population of 68,000 some odd.
Yeah.
They have a 40% Muslim population.
Really?
Somalia. Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's use the number 3 million. That's 750,000 at 25% that say the Sharia. Now, what this article says in Huffington Post, the two goofball writers, and we've tried to get both of them on the show several times, Nathan Lean, he hasn't responded, and Jordan Denary, but we'll keep trying. They said, this survey should not be taken seriously. Comes from an organization, Center for Security Policy, that has
Attack the messenger.
Dubious claims and studies. But Zudi's on there. They'd blow Zudi off. The interesting thing with this article in Huffington Post, a leftist paper, online paper, if you go to the conversations, there's 346 comments. Right. The simple fact, this first one says, that Islam is
Uncover your mic.
only ideology that cannot be criticized or ridiculed without the risk of violent, deadly repercussions really says something about the careful and energetically maintained myth of a peaceful, tolerant religion. You read all these responses, and the HuffPo readers are saying, no, Islam is a dangerous, violent religion. So we have to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, that all of our work as Islamophobes has been successful. Yeah. And Islamophobia works. We're starting to get people to fear Islam because it ought to be feared. It's a violent, destructive ideology. Now, we always make the separation between a Muslim like Zudi, who doesn't even follow Islam, and the doctrine of Islam. Your thoughts, Billy Vaughn?
I agree.
On that note, no.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go quickly. Your thoughts on... You're a Bible-believing, Bible-thumping Christian, aren't you?
I don't know about thumping, but yes, I am a Bible. Yeah.
He's Bible pumping.
In Florida, huh?
I said you're more like Bible pumping than thumping.
We're supposed to be talking about, Christians voting, right? Christians, you have the most to lose. You have the most to lose in this republic of anybody. When we lose our rights. And you should know that even last week, that when the Supreme Court handed down the decision on against biblical marriage, when the Supreme Court handed down that decision, I believe this was who the man was, one of the attorneys who argued the case for the other side, said in a statement, basically, this is not what we're really after. It's really going to be freedom on religion. That is the ultimate goal. And when freedom on religion, when the freedom of religion is done for, folks, you have the most to lose. By sitting at home because you don't like the candidate, it doesn't work anymore. Over 1 million Christians did not vote in Florida in 2012. And look what we've got. We've had 4 years, or going on 4 years, of stuff that we likely will never recover from in this republic. Likely never recover from. Christians, we have the greatest responsibility. Christian men, America-loving men and women are dying for this country. We have a moral obligation to vote for a candidate and look for a candidate who believes in God's values, not your values. Don't be selfish when you vote, and inform your friends and vote correctly God's values.
Amen.
And they want to, and the left wants a freedom from religion. Freedom from religion.
And on that note, freedom from religion, that's going to be the cultural issue.
Yep.
488 days from today. Stay with us. Billy, thank you. Good seeing you,
Tom.
everybody. Great show.
Thank you, staff.
See you tomorrow. Special,
staff.
2 days.
We're staff now.
I was on a Muslim show. We're going to show you that. And then they're going to be on our show Thursday, Friday. Don't want to miss that. See you.
Bye.